All right, good morning. Glad to see you all have recovered from whatever you did on New Year's. And we'll trust that other friends are recovering or recovered or continuing in the flow of blessings, whatever New Year's was like for them and for us. So today I'm going to begin with the talk and then we'll go into meditation. Almost every time I begin a sentence with the words I am, I follow up with words that are not entirely true. If I say I am a unity minister, that is only partly true. I am more than that, and I am not essentially that. This is a word I'm going to focus on, essentially, right? I have not been a unity minister my whole life, so I am not essentially a unity minister. Same would be true if I were to say I am a husband or father, or I am an idiot. I've not always been a husband and a father. I have in the past behaved like an idiot, but have not always behaved that way, as far as I can tell. I've noticed that Unity people like to identify with certain personality types. I have frequently heard Unity folks identify with psychological types, such as those of the Myers-Briggs personality theory and test. According to the Myers-Briggs theory, a person's type consists of tendencies rather than unchanging and perfectly predictable patterns of behavior. I looked up my supposed type, Myers-Briggs type, and found famous people of the same type. Elon Musk, Friedrich Nietzsche, Karl Marx, Isaac Newton, Mark
Wow.
Zuckerberg, and Barry Sanders.
Whew.
I can't see any resemblance between me and them or between them and each other. My personality type can't be the essence of what I am. Otherwise, I would be a philosopher, a scientist, a politician, a ruthless capitalist, and a communist. So, what can I say I am that is essentially true? If I were to say I am the son of Arthur and Janice Gaither, that would seem to be essentially true. I have been their son since I was born. Really, though, being the son of Art and Jan doesn't say all that much about what I am, since they had three other sons and two daughters, and none of us are identical in personality, interests, or occupations. Now, what if I had lived other lives before I was born into this one? If I had reincarnations before I was born into this body, then even saying I am the son of Art and Jan would not be essentially true. Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. Now, I wondered, was that statement exclusively true for Jesus? Could I truly make the same statement? Could anyone but Jesus truly make the same statement? If there is reincarnation, then it could be true for some people today to say, before Abraham was, I am. Not everyone, of course. I saw
Mm.
an estimate that 100 million people were born before Abraham. There are over 8 billion people living today. So 100 million people today could possibly say, before Abraham was, I am. That means at most 1% of the current world population could possibly truthfully say, before Abraham was, I am. I personally do not recall being incarnated before Abraham, but that proves nothing. I don't personally recall being born this time, but I'm pretty sure I was. Perhaps I'm being too literal. I think Jesus saying, before Abraham was, I am, was not necessarily referring to reincarnation in the conventional sense. As you know, when Moses asked God's name, God said, I am. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the light of the world. Now, he referred to himself as the way, and that's, of course, the meaning of the Tao, the nature of the ultimate reality is the Tao is the way. So when Jesus said, I am the way, it was somewhat like affirming sort of Taoist perspective, I suppose. Mystic theology, in general, affirms that God is truth, life, and light. So if we interpret Jesus' sayings according to mystic theology, Jesus was indicating that his self was essentially God. In Hinduism, the self is regarded as identical with God. Oneself is not is I'm sorry, oneself is the root and essence of all being, of the whole universe. Atman is Brahman, self is God. The I am of Judaism and Christianity is identical with the Atman or self of Hinduism. There is only one divine I am, one self in mystic theology. According to mystic teachings, it is true to say not just I am what I am, like Popeye, but also it is true to say I am God. It is absolutely true to say I am God. God essentially, my essence is God. But it is not entirely safe to say I am God. Sufi lore tells us that one Sufi mystic, Al-Halaj, taught people to find God in their own souls. Rumi wrote about Al-Halaj. Al-Halaj would say things like, there is nothing in my cloak but God. And I saw God with the eye of my heart. I asked, who are you? He replied, you. Once, after having an ecstatic experience of union with Allah, Al-Halaj joyfully proclaimed, I am God. So they killed him. Now, the story of Al-Halaj is more complicated, but you get the gist. In some eras, the Christian church deemed heretical the claim of mystical union with God. The French mystic Marguerite Porete wrote, I am God, says love, for love is God and God is love. And this soul is God by the condition of love. I am God by divine nature, and this soul is God by righteousness of love. Her book, in case you're interested, is titled The Mirror of Simple Souls. Marguerite was executed in 1310 for writing such things about mystical union with God through love and meditative prayer. Not necessarily safe to say I am God in public. The German mystic Meister Eckhart was an acquaintance of Marguerite, and he held similar beliefs, but he was not executed for heresy, probably mainly because he had the good sense to die before his trial. In any case, my point is you can truthfully claim, I am God. Just be careful who you tell, unless you want to end up like Ahalaj or Marguerite Porete. You can probably tell yourself, I am God, without any immediate danger. Even some scientists have affirmed that there is only one self. Erwin Schrödinger was a genius, one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century. He developed the mathematics of wave mechanics, that is, the heart of quantum mechanics. Now, I am relying on, for that point, on authorities on quantum physics because I do not understand the mathematics of wave mechanics. But Schrödinger arrived at the idea of oneself by a simple and elegant deduction. He began this deduction with two premises that seem self evidently true, yet also somehow contradictory. The first premise, as he stated it, was my body functions as a pure mechanism according to the laws of nature. My body functions as a pure mechanism according to the laws of nature. That's a kind of scientific view. Second premise, he writes, yet I know by incontrovertible direct experience that I am directing my motions, of which I foresee the effects, that may be fateful and all important, in which case I feel and take full responsibility for them. It goes on to say, the only possible inference from these two facts is, I think, that I in the widest meaning of the word, that is to say, every conscious mind that has ever said or felt I am the person, if any, who controls the motion of the atoms according to the laws of nature. There is only one thing, and what seems to be a plurality is merely a series of different aspects of this one thing, produced by a deception. The same illusion is produced in a gallery of mirrors. And then he goes on to talk about, well, our memories. We think of our memories as ourself. But then he says, even if a skilled hypnotist succeeded in blotting out entirely all your reminiscences, you would not find that he had killed you. In no case is there loss of personal existence to deplore, nor will there ever be. So that's quite an argument for the idea of one self and what that means. Now, if we consider this statement grammatically and logically, just to say, I am God does not mean that I alone am God or I am all that God is. It means, grammatically, logically, that I am part of, but not necessarily all of God. To illustrate, suppose I have a cat, let's call him Spot. If I say Spot is a cat, that does not mean that Spot alone is a cat, or that Spot is the only cat, or that all cats are Spot. It means Spot is one of the set of all cats. Spot is part of the cat family. Likewise, to say I am God does not mean that I alone am God, but only I am part of what God is. Now, if on the contrary, to further illustrate, if on the contrary I said God is me, that would grammatically and logically mean that I am more than God, that God is a part of me. I am certain from personal experience that I am not more than God. So when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, when he said, I am the light of the world, he was not saying, I alone am the way, the truth, the life, and the light, or all of it. He was saying, I am part of the way, the truth, the life, and the light. Not, I alone am God, but I am part of God. Myself is part of God. By the transitive, assuming all these things to be true and my deductions to be correct, by the transitive property, yourself is part of God. If I had a cat named Spot, Spot's self would be part of God. So would the self of Schrodinger's cat, if Schrodinger had a cat, as is often claimed. The essence of myself, then, is not body, personality, position, or son of a particular set of parents. The essence of myself is not a series of past lives I may have had. The essence of myself is God. The essence of my body, personality, positions, and family relations is God. The essence of what I am, then, is eternal being, infinite consciousness, infinite truth, life, and love. All that I may ever need or desire is already mine, already part of my essence. For all is God, and God is my essence. God is within me. By the transitive property, again, all that you may ever need or desire is already yours, already part of your essence. What I am then includes the sum and synthesis of everything I have ever experienced, consciously or unconsciously. All my thoughts, feelings, perceptions, memories, and actions. That means that everything I have experienced is a particle of what I am, or if you prefer, a vibration of what I am. Scientists say that atoms and light behave either like particles or waves. They are wavicles. I like that word, wavicles. Likewise, every place that is a part of my consciousness is a wavicle of what I am. The humblest shack and the grandest palace that is part of my consciousness is a wavicle of what I am. The, I do not need to acquire then a palace or have trillions of dollars because all palaces and all wealth are wavicles of what I am. The Grand Canyon and the Southwest Desert, the skyscrapers of New York are wavicles of what I am. Every sunrise and sunset, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the Milky Way are wavicles of what I am. Each of you is a wavicle of what I am. And by the transitive property, I am a wavicle of what you are. Each of us, in effect, encompasses the whole universe, synthesized into a unique point of view. I am the universe, synthesized into a unique point of view. How then can I experience whatever I may need or desire? Well, the same way I've experienced anything in my life. I must direct my attention to what I need or desire. I have directed my attention to expressing certain qualities, doing certain things, and acquiring certain things. In directing my attention to what was needed or desired, I have experienced those things. I have moved atoms according to the laws of nature, as Schrodinger would put it. Suppose I desired to live in a palace. I could direct my attention to living in a palace, and immediately I would imagine living in a palace. Once I begin to imagine it, I begin to feel what it would be like to live in a palace. I invite you to sort of think about that for a second. If I fully and persistently directed my attention to living in a palace, I would begin to think about what I would need to do to acquire or rent a palace. I would research available palaces on Zillow. I would seek ways to make enough money to live in a palace. Then I would begin to take action. I might even attract an inheritance of a palace or an opportunity to reside in a palace through the power of the law of mind action. Now, as a matter of fact, I have no desire to live in a palace. There's too much to clean and keep in repair. I, th- I think the stress of plumbing and heating problems alone would probably kill me. I'm just saying, there's a way to go about it. The palace is already within me, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm content to know that everything is already within me because the essence of myself is God. Now, I will admit I have made the mistake in the past of directing my attention to what I didn't want, or what I didn't have, or what I had but didn't want. And when I've done that, I've experienced more of what I didn't want, didn't have, or had but didn't want. Then, through unity, I learned about the law of mind action and started to set a different course. I guess it's by the law of mind action that we move the atoms of nature. I directed my attention more to what I desired and the good that I already had. I directed my attention away from what I didn't desire, which is what you do in the burning bowl ceremony. You're releasing something that you've had your attention on and that you no longer desire to have in your life. At first, when I started using these principles, I was somewhat surprised and delighted to find that I began to receive, attract, and acquire what I focused upon. What I had not wanted began to diminish. Now I am content to know that everything I could ever have, or ever need, everything that I could ever need or want is already within me because my essence is God and all is in God. I am not the only way, truth, life, and light, but I am the way, the truth, the life, and the light. In essence, I am God, and so are you. So there's nothing more to say. As Jim Freeman used to always say in silent unity meetings, let us pray. I'd like you to take a few moments to become still, to breathe, to open your consciousness to all that is. Relax, let go. I'm open and receptive to all that is. So you reach this place of openness. Things we've seen and heard, words, ideas, memories, desires, may flood into our consciousness. We let them flow. We recognize them as vibrations or wavicles of what we are, but not all that we are. I invite you to open your mind to the possibility that you are God. The essence of what you are is God, the all. Essence of what you are is the infinite, eternal being. Essence of yourself is the Tao, the truth, the life, the light. I invite you to, for a few moments, as I am silent, to dare to hold that thought, understanding its meaning. Hold that thought. I am God. Hold that thought with understanding of the implication of that. The essence of what you are is God. Just hold it, repeat it fearlessly, with faith, allowing space between the repetitions to let it unveil the meaning, the essence of what you are. So I invite you now to do that for a few moments. Hold in your consciousness, openly, receptively, the simple statement, I am God. As I realize I am God, you are God. Everywhere you look is the face of God. It says in the Quran, everywhere I look is the face of God. As I recognize the essence of myself is the infinite, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God the good. As I realize this truth, I am flooded with energy and light. love and life. My attention is on the essence of what I am. My attention is on the all good, not on some past mistake or failure. In this essence, there is no failure, there are no mistakes. Everything is a wavicle, a flow, particular instance, particular aspect, a reflection in a gallery of mirrors. What I am in my essence is divine. And knowing that is all that I need. Knowing that is the answer to all my prayers. So together we, having the same essence, hold each other in that consciousness. As we end our time together of prayer and meditation, as we open our eyes, what we see before us is the face of God, and we rejoice in that truth. And so it is. Amen.